today's presentation is to give you guys a quick case study around our customer, Mercedes-Benz, that currently was using BMC Remedy, and how they implemented our knowledge management solutions and IT self-service solutions to really enhance their overall environment, consolidate their documents, put processes in place, and overall empower their employees. Just to start off, quick kind of overview of the Mercedes-Benz environment as it stood before we came in about two and a half years ago. They had about 60 global service desks. It spanned 300,000 employees. To kind of give a quick overview, this isn't just Mercedes-Benz as the company, we know in America. This is Daimler Group, the conglomerate. So this kind of spans Daimler Financial, Mercedes-Benz, Daimler Trucks, so forth. So that's where you kind of get the spread and the different business units. They were utilizing BMC Remedy for their incident change, their problem management. They had implemented a knowledge base with Remedy Knowledge Management. They were also across their business units utilizing different wikis and SharePoints and company intranet sites to push out knowledge to their employees. So it was a bit dispersed. Obviously, across the business units, they're using different processes, and one of their major goals was really to let's consolidate this, let's make it more agile, and let's push a singular product out to the customer base. So onto that, here were sort of the challenges that Mercedes-Benz faced at the time. Lack of a centralized knowledge base, as I spoke about. They were using MyIT for BMC Remedy to actually push knowledge out to their end users. What they found when they went down that path was that the utilization rates that they were getting, people actually taking the time out of their day to go onto the MyIT portal, do a self-service search, was not to the point that it was worth them to be, creating and constantly monitoring the content that was on the MyIT portal. They needed to create, something more user-friendly, more intuitive, and an easier interface to push their customers to actually get them to start utilizing self-service, which, was a main goal that they were trying to accomplish. As I said, they being so diverse across multi nations, their content creation processes were, separate. They didn't have a uniform way to create content, to manage content, to publish content. And as such, they had many different forms of content out there that didn't uniformly align with their business objectives. And then one of the biggest challenges, such a large organization, they're dealing with about 1.5 million tickets, annually. So, that's a driving cost factor, when we talk about first level tickets at, around $10 to $15. This is a significant cost in the organization, and anything they can do to reduce that, reduce call resolution rates, they were all for. So that's kind of a quick overview. And then here's sort of the, the idea of their goals. One goal was on the service desk side. So let's create a professional service desk. Let's first thing centralize the documents, enhance, our ability to search for those documents, and let's enhance our ability to produce really business-driven content. So content that is first thing working for the service desk and being rapidly accessed by the people who are resolving their calls. The other goal, as we sort of mentioned, is, increase the utilization of the self-service offering. The biggest problem they had is, it's a bit of a culture shift to move 300,000 people to the mindset of utilizing self-service. So how do we easily push this out to our customers, market this to our customers as something that's going to help them, not only help our service desk, not have to take on all these first level calls, but how do we change the psychology of them to say, hey, this is easier than me calling or me opening a ticket. And then really just constructing sort of process-driven customer success. So let's put processes behind, maybe it's onboarding employees, continuously educating our service desk. How do we put processes behind the content creation, and how do we integrate our customer interactions so we look, if you call into the Mercedes-Benz service desk, that we look like a uniformed employee front instead of a bunch of different units spanned across the globe. So that's basically the goals of the organization. And insert, our product and our company, USU. So to give you guys a quick overview, I know a lot of people might not know about USU. We're actually a public company based out of Germany. We've been in business for 40 years at this point. Our KCenter division specifically has been in business 15 years focusing on knowledge management. So if you go back 15 years, the idea of ITIL and KCS were just in its infancy. We really started as a consulting firm. So a lot of the businesses or the solutions that we derive for our customers came from us being in Fortune 500 organizations. And really the knowledge management side came from seeing the way they were implementing their processes, how they were managing their content, and we decided, there has to be a better way. So that's sort of where we kind of come from. We do take a three-tiered approach. One is obviously let's enhance the service desk. Let's enhance their ability to resolve calls quickly, to manage the content. The second tier would be let's enhance the employee's ability to access content and self-improve or self-help themselves. And the third tier is external customers. So how do we interface with not only our internal customers, but people that might be coming onto our website? How do we get them to feel that they're empowered to do their self-service within our website, find the information they need, always have it at their fingertips if they have a problem or a question. So those are the kind of, the three tiers we focus on. And with that, you get a pretty holistic view of the organization and driving processes towards content. This is just a quick USU at a glance, with basically over $80 million right now in revenue for 2016. I think it's somewhere around 87, where, every year we've grown basically 20%. So even though we're a pretty mature company, we put about 17% of our revenue right back into R&D, always developing new products, enhancing the products that we currently have. We have over 800 customers worldwide, a lot Fortune 500, mid-size, and also small educational and so forth. And right now I think we're about 557 employees, just to give you sort of an idea. When we talk about a professional service desk and we talk about, what we did on top of what Mercedes-Benz was doing for their knowledge management to start out with, we're really talking about, making knowledge management not only a process for driving content, creating content, but really a process for enhancing what the service desk is all about. And that's really delivering customer success, making your customer feel that not only are you resolving their calls in a timely manner, you're putting SLAs on their problems, but you're also pushing out content and actively creating content that is quickly accessible, enhances your ability to resolve calls. You structure your employee communication via emails and training. And then when you talk about large organizations such as Mercedes-Benz, the fact to implement ITIL workflows and permissions and SLA management is very important. I think one of the major keys that Mercedes wanted is you want to have centralized knowledge, but when you have many different business units, not everyone can have access to that knowledge. So you want to have a centralized place to actively create and manage and push out knowledge, but you have to have some way to segmentize that knowledge across your business units. And, that's one of the strengths of our knowledge management, is to really get a granular approach to setting permissions, creating workflows as far as content creators versus content publishers or supervisors, and then pushing it out. Empower employees through self-service. So the goal, as I mentioned earlier, and maybe the crux of the issue with self-service as a whole, is that it's great for the service desk to go through the effort and go through the motions to create content and create maybe even user-friendly content and push it out to the employees. But if you can't make the process as easy for an employee as calling the help desk or shooting an email to open a ticket, it's going to be very difficult for them to get some utilization, start to adopt that practice. So we really view self-service as a psychological issue. You need to figure out how to motivate the employee first thing to use the self-service portal. And then when they're in the self-service portal, you want them to feel successful. Whether it's that they look up content and find their solution, or they look up content and the effort that they put in to find that solution can be turned into, a ticket or pushed to another level to resolve. You never want them to kind of come to a position where they put in a bunch of effort, fail, and have to scrap all of their work and go on to, opening a ticket or so forth, because the psychology of the end user is going to start to push as they utilize this portal more and more, is going to start to push towards back to opening tickets, to calling the help desk, and the effort you put forward is for naught. So we do this through, guided dialogue, first level dialogue. So, content that's not overwhelming, not overly technical. There's a bridge between the content that serves a service desk versus the content that's going to serve the end user. And then we do this by making the user always feel successful within the portal. It's worth noting, and, Dick brought it up earlier, that though Mercedes-Benz was utilizing this, as a replacement for MyIT and knowledge management within Remedy, we do work with all of the ITSM solutions, ServiceNow, BMC, Remedy Force. We work with just ticketing systems as the whole. So just because this presentation is focused on, Remedy and how we enhanced their various service offerings, I just wanted to make it clear that if you don't have Remedy, you're not left out on anything that we're pushing here.
Hey, Mike, before we jump into the product demo, you can turn it back to that slide if you'd like. I've got a question, because I'd like to understand this a little bit more. I'm an older guy, and I'd just as soon, if I had my choice of self-service or picking up the phone, I'd just as soon as long as if I picked up the phone and I got through to somebody quickly, I'd rather ask a question, because I know that it can be just a terrific waste of time for me to try to figure something out on my own. There's just so many different options that are available out there. If I can just get the right person on the line, it's much quicker. Yet I don't know that that's exactly what, maybe in this case, Mercedes-Benz objective was, is that they want to push more calls through the self-service or through the knowledge management portal, I would suspect. Do you know if there's any studies out there? I mean, is that, because it seems like, we talked about having an agile service desk, and I think you want to sort of, reduce the numbers of calls to the service desk, not increase them, right? So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, I mean, overall, what we're doing through our self-service is empowering employees. To your first point, can you change teach an old dog new tricks? That's the goal of the product, is to make it as easy and as intuitive that the old dog may be able to learn new tricks. But overall, I mean, we're talking about an organization of over 300,000 people and 1.5 million tickets, if you can even change 15% or 10% of the employee culture to start utilizing self-service, you're talking about really good cost savings overall your organization. So I don't think, we're not here to get, 100% of results, but within our customer base and reporting metrics, we have customers that, with our alerting technology and our self-service portal, reach up to 45%, reduction in first-level tickets. So that's, so the top end, and then, 10%, 15% is where maybe our more mature customers end up lying.
Yeah. Well, let's drill down that just a little bit more, because let's say that we have a millennial who is used to looking things up on their own. In fact, that would be their preference. They wouldn't want to call the service desk, but instead their best friend might be Google. But is that the best thing? And so if it's not, I mean, how would you get somebody to move off of Google then and into your own self-service portal? And maybe you can show that in the demo, or any comments on that?
Yeah. Well, I think the comment on that is that you want the content that your employees are actively looking at and actively searching for to be, business-driven content that's relative to your organization. It's great to look up troubleshooting documents, but you're going out to a World Wide Web where there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of possibilities for who's created that content, who's managing that content, whether that content is up to date. As a company, you would feel much safer, pushing out content that you've created that's specific to your business needs, that's formatted in the correct way that it certainly formats to maybe your company policies. And then, I guess the second piece of that is you need to make, and what I sort of alluded to, is we need to make our self-service option as easy as a Google. It's great to have a self-service option, but as you allude to, if it's easier to go onto your web monitor, web browser, and do a Google search versus maybe do a self-service option, then you're going to again get the feeling that customers aren't utilizing your portal. And that's something that we strive to do, is make the ease of use as intuitive and as simple as possible.
Okay, well, let's take a look then.
Okay, awesome. So quick product demo for you guys. We'll pop open. This is our Knowledge Center product. So this is what Mercedes-Benz uses for their service desk to field incoming calls, to do knowledge searches, to create content, and to actively manage their content. So maybe we'll just go over a scenario of, imagine that you're a service desk employee. One of your internal customers calls. They had a guest in the office today. They were trying to do a Skype business meeting with an employee out in San Francisco, and the guest wanted to record the meeting, to take it back to his employees or so forth. They couldn't find out the recording, so they called up the service desk. So you get a call in. The service desk employee can start to type in the problem. As you can see, it starts to push different, Skype documents that we have within the Knowledge Center. So, you have a Skype recording document, you search, you can see that there's, 4 documents that populated. You can see the relevancy on the right side. So is this document relevant to what I've typed in, what the problem is? Right at the top is the record and playback Skype for a business meeting. So we're into that document. You can quickly walk the person through the problem. If the problem's solved, you click this confirm button. It automatically interfaces with your ticketing system. So it says, hey, this document was used. It was used successfully in ticket number this and this. Maybe say the person says, hey, that's great. Do you mind sending me that document for the next time I need to use it? You basically have the send an email possibility. So you have in 4 clicks, you say this is a case 1. We'll do an informal response. Show a preview, and you can send out an email through whatever email service that the service desk uses. So instead of wasting your employees' time with communication, now you're structuring the communication, also enhancing the call resolution rate. Couple of things you can do is you can follow a document right here. So as you see, I'm actually already following this document. So if any changes or updates get made to the document, one thing that Mercedes-Benz really liked about these documents is they are obviously a multinational company. They have content in 10 to 12 different languages across the globe. So typically with a knowledge base, when you create content, you end up creating version 1 English, version 1 French, version 1 German. And when someone goes to do a knowledge search, all of those documents start to populate, and it becomes overwhelming. The search queue, starts to build up. This is our way of consolidating all those documents into a single one. If the person's native computer is in one of these languages, it'll automatically populate in that native language. So just kind of quick overview of a way they were utilizing it and really found use of it. The other thing we have within here is the feedback button. So this is the ability for the service desk analyst to basically go through documents that they're walking customers through, and if they find a problem or they find something's out of date or so forth, they can quickly click the feedback button. They can send the feedback to the administrator, say, document out of date, and send this feedback. It's going to populate in the administrator's task queue. The administrator has the ability to take over that task, pass along that task to another person, but put an SLA behind it and get the document back up to speed. So it's a good way, instead of the content creators being the main point of main line of defense for maybe content creation and content management, you push this down to your service desk, and as you'll see a little further, you can push it down to your employees to start picking and making sure the content is always up to date and as useful as possible. So we just sent feedback. So maybe this is a good time we can switch over from a service desk employee to a service desk administrator. So you can see here, say that I'm the service desk administrator. I just received a piece of feedback from one of my service desk employees saying that the document is out of date. I can look in, I can accept this task. So I'll accept that task. I can go in and quickly open the document, edit the document, and say, hey, up to date now. We didn't really have a great example of that, but publish, and now you've solved that problem. You've pushed it out to the employees, to the service desk, and the service desk person will end up getting a message saying, hey, this document that you pushed back to the administrators has now been updated. You can, look through it, do whatever you want. So from this position, just to kind of quickly go through the demo, there's a lot of pieces to this knowledge center, but I think, as you guys look at it and see it, you get, a good idea of how it works. I think one of the main things I would push out is that the reporting functionality within here is KCS approved, ITIL certified. So we have a variety of different reports and functionalities that you can start pulling into the system, start, judging the content that you're pushing out, who's confirming it, how is it being successful, which documents are not being utilized, so forth. But just another sort of example to kind of shift us over from the Knowledge Center product to the SmartLink self-service portal. So this is the ability of a service desk employee, say they know that the CRM system for their sales force is going to be down, in the next hour. So they have the ability to send alerts directly to their sales team's computers, saying that this is going to be the case, stymieing any sort of influx of calls to the service desk when the service desk knows that a problem is coming up or knows that problem has just occurred. So they can quickly create a document. Service desk employee can type in, CRM system down for next hour. Please do not call. Maybe add a little to that. Service desk. And this is the position where, typically service desk or companies themselves will send out alerts maybe via email system, where the employees get, an email maybe once every 30 minutes on average to saying that something within the organization has failed or something within a business unit that they're not a part of has, a problem. This is our ability to send specific alerts. So you can click on alert. You can switch between maybe organizational units or different office locations. You can select processes. So you can select your CRM process. So anyone that's using the application, has that application installed on their computer, is going to get the alert. So this is, our ability to specify who we're sending alerts to and make sure that if the employee is getting the alert, that it's something that's useful to them, that's going to affect them. And that way they feel that if it pops up, that it's something that actually affects them and they should take a look at it. So you can quickly go like this, you press publish. And as you can see, pretty much, very quickly, the SmartLink alert pops up. So one good thing about this alert is if you switch between different screens here, it stays in the foreground. Doesn't allow the employee to hide it, pretend that they never saw it. They have to acknowledge it, eventually, exit out of it if need be. So that's the alerting functionality. What I want to do really quickly is go into our self-service. So let's bring ourselves from the service desk to an actual employee of the company that's run into a problem and wants to do a self-service search. So if many of you might be familiar with Remedy and the MyIT product, or use some other sort of self-service portal, typically it's web browser based. You have to log in and you get to the portal and you have the option to do a self-service search or maybe turn to another part of the website and open a ticket. Our self-service is actually located right here on the toolbar of the person's computers. So we have people that will install on the application servers and roll it out to all their customers, install it on the individual machines. We do have, cloud options as well, but just to give you an idea. And you click it, and here's your SmartLink portal. So this connects, this you can think of as a front-end self-service portal and ticketing system for your back-end processes. So this would connect into your Remedy system. Tickets created out of here would be created in the same manner that they would hit the Remedy system in the first place. You can see there's a couple different sections here. One is the latest news section. So you can see the urgent news that I had sent directly to the salesperson's computer is here. Also, we have Outlook maintenance, from 5 to 8 p.m. tonight. So this is a good way to inform users We also have a lot of companies that will use this to send surveys, to send feedback, to, maybe it's not even IT related. Maybe they're changing the names of all their business rooms, so they want to inform users that maybe when they go to Outlook to book book an office space, that it's going to change the name, so forth. A lot of different ways to send news to the employees, but this is a bit less urgent than, sending an actual alert to the computer. We can go through, one quick scenario. Maybe this end user is, say, imagine he's at his hotel room for the night, needs to access a, specific application via VPN and can't figure out how to connect. He can first thing scroll through topics to maybe connect devices. He sees there's a VPN, actual section, and can click and open the document. A couple things with this document is, one, you can work in the background, so you can quickly, troubleshoot your problem while looking at the document. The second you see here is that this document is basically a compound document. We call them conditional documents, but it's in a block. It's a very generic document that speaks about connecting to a VPN that breaks it down once you get into the document into smaller sections. So you don't open up this block of a document and it has 5 or 6 different sections of text and you get overwhelmed. Or you don't have, on the other side, you don't have your search query pulling up 5 results, disconnect from VPN, connect to VPN, set up VPN, or add a new VPN. So this is a way to consolidate on the search query and also make it look clean and manageable for the employee themselves to go through and solve their problem. So here we have, set up your VPN connection. The person can quickly go through kind of the steps, check the box, click save. They've solved their problem. Maybe this is the point where they said, hey, this is a great document for Windows 7, but hey, I have Windows 10 and this doesn't work for me. This is where they have the feedback button as well. So they can send feedback to the administrators. The administrator can say, hey, we haven't updated this document for our new Windows 10 rollout. We need to get on this and start pushing out this document and maybe look at other documents that might not have been updated at this point. Other point, you have just print functionality and also the same language functionality that I spoke to earlier. So we'll say, in that case, they were successful. It was good. They can exit out. Have we been able to help you? Yes. This is going to be logged into the reporting saying that they used this document, they were successful. We'll go through a scenario where maybe they aren't as successful. So as you can see, you have, the news, the topics, we have a query bar. Before that, maybe I should just point out this solutions tab. These solutions would be the 5 or 6 most used or most needed documents to push out to your end users. Maybe it's the documents that hit the help desk the most, or the documents that are being utilized within SmartLink the most, that you can push out. It's very quick to access for the end users. We have companies that, you mentioned a Windows 10 rollout. Maybe they want their solutions for that specific rollout or for a new application to be pushed there. Or through our reporting tools, you can actually have it self-populate to the new, the most used documents. So that's a goal. One other thing to mention before I do my next query is that, we say Mercedes-Benz, 300,000 users, a lot of different business units that maybe deal with different knowledge content and have different needs within the organization for maybe the problems they run into. It's worth noting that within SmartLink, they typically, to an average user, push out about 210 to 230 pieces of content into the SmartLink portal. Smaller organizations, maybe it's 60 or 70, 100 pieces of information. But the goal is you want, if someone's going to take the time and do a query, you want the content that they access to be something that they can handle, that's technically manageable and not overwhelming. So you don't want their search query to, first thing, populate with 1 million different documents, but you also don't want them to get onto a document that's maybe more service desk oriented. You want the content that they access to make them feel that they were successful when they accessed it, that it was, to their, I guess, ability level to actually handle that content and so forth. So back to the end user, maybe they're in the office this time and they've just printed a document and the document came out and has, black zigzags all over it, and they don't know really what the issue is. So they can quickly type in, printer not working. As you can see, as I was typing in my question, it started to auto-populate results based on my keywords. These aren't keywords that are specifically put into the document at this time, so it's not in the metadata that I created the document with. This is actually our search query functionality that has intelligence behind it to start going into the documents and picking out keywords that it thinks it finds useful. Within our content creation, you have obviously the ability to, add metadata to the documents, and that's going to, better refine the query, but I figured that's just worth pointing out. So this is a printer troubleshooting document. Again, it's kind of a generic document. It says printer troubleshoot. Is it going to solve my problem specifically? We'll figure out. I guess one thing, a lot of our companies sort of maybe put some logos into their documents, maybe even change up the look and feel of SmartLink to better integrate with maybe what they're doing internally as a service desk or pushing out to employees. You can kind of modularize all of that as well. But this is one of our documents. We basically call it a questionnaire document or a decision tree document that, depending on which options you choose, it's going to take you down different limbs of the tree. You're going to come to a final result, whether good or bad. You're going to feel that you've troubleshot enough of the issue that you can turn it around and feel success. So we'll just go with, I have a Canon printer that I'm having trouble with. What's the issue I'm facing? Black stripes on the printout seems to be the issue. Is there ink in the cartridge? Yes, there is. Shake the cartridge and reinsert. So maybe this is the point that the person shakes the cartridge, reinserts, it's successful. Maybe they aren't successful. So in a typical scenario, they've just gone through a document, they've troubleshot it themselves, it didn't work for them. They end up scrapping all their work and turning around and opening a ticket and feeling like, why did I waste my time doing this troubleshoot when this document failed me and I could have just opened a ticket in the first place? In this scenario here, you can basically press submit. It's going to say, sorry, we'll send out our technical staff. Please click finish to create a ticket. And when I click finish, SmartLink is actually creating a ticket for me, right at that time. So you have a couple things here. Is one, I've described the problem that I actually typed in myself. You also have answers to all the questions that they went through. So obviously that document itself is pretty generic and pretty basic, but if you turn a lot of your documents or a lot of your tickets that typically come into the help desk, there's five or six questions you as a service desk manager or service desk employee is going to troubleshoot these people through that they probably can handle on their own, to an extent before it had to be brought to you. So these are the type of documents you would create with this that now that when it turns over to your service desk, the service desk employee can quickly look, say, hey, he's tried this, 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 and this. Now we have a bigger issue. Maybe we have to push it up to second level and get actual hands or actual assistance on it. And, obviously at that point, it's worth the service desk jumping in. So you have all the answers. You also have a system dump of information. So executables, processes, file sets, log files that the service desk employee can look a little deeper into the computer. I think we probably have a couple government customers on the line that I know RightStar has a few in their tool belt, but a couple of our government customers and so forth, maybe even financial customers, says, hey, we can't gather employees' system information like that. These are all modular capabilities that you can insert, pull out, so forth. One thing that is pretty neat is you can create screenshots just as easy as pressing this little plus button. You can show screenshots. You can see that I have a dual monitor, so you can see both of my screens. If you have 3 or 4 screens, you can see all the screens. One thing that maybe government companies or maybe financials or healthcare specifically like is the ability to black out certain sections of screenshots. So if you have personal information or confidential information, you can quickly black it out, press OK, and now you're sending a secure screenshot to the service desk that they can actively help you, and assist you on, but you're also not showing information that they don't have access or are privy to. Things like this, choose a category. With large organizations, maybe they have, a spread out of what assistance is. So if it's an IT-related problem or it's an HR-related problem, they have different groups that handle different things. So it's sort of modular on the way that you can create your ticket and send out your ticket. One thing is on the back side, and I think I might have mentioned it, but when you actually contact and create a ticket, nothing changes in the back office. So what you typically handle as a ticket at your service desk is going to be populated. This SmartLink ticket will populate just the same way, can be pulled in and managed the same way, can be set in SLA the same way. Really what this is a front-end user interface for the employee to make it easier, to make it more intuitive, and to have a workflow that they never come to a point that they've failed within the thing, that they've done a search. It's populating documents no matter if they want it to or not. So they have the option to go in and look at that document and then quickly turn their work that they've put into it into a ticket that has, the automated computer diagnostics, screenshots, and so forth to help them out. Contact via ticket, chat, email, so forth. You can kind of click here. And the final piece I would just say is that the employee has the ability to look at their ticket. So you can see what happens. You as a service desk employee can, update this ticket. They don't have to call the help desk and say, hey, what's the status of my ticket? Kind of run out of time, so I want to make sure we have enough time for questions and answers. But I just want to quickly show you the results of when Mercedes-Benz implemented. This was a survey that we took after 1 year. They found a 15% reduction in the volume of tickets for the first level support. So that was actually 225,000 tickets that they reduced. At basically $10 a ticket, you're talking over cost savings of $2 million. So their ROI, I think, was something close to 9 months, for the actual solution, the knowledge center, and so forth. So very quick return on investment, very, very good implementation and marketing from their departments to push this out and make sure their employees, were excited about utilizing it. And then, just the 100% sense of achievement for end users. And, that's the goal of the solution, is to make sure that the end users feel that they're successful. And that's why you're going to get these good utilization rates. That's why you're going to have a greater than 60% reduction in ticket resolution times when the service desk feels that the system's working for them instead of against them. And that's really the goals of the solution.